Hi everyone, it's Katey and today is day 12 of Ethony's 31 Days of Tarot Challenge, and today our prompt is the Oracle decks we plan on working with in 2017. So for today's prompt I'm not including the decks that I've already mentioned, my top 5 Oracle decks, because they're my favourites, so I have every intention of working with them still. These are kind of the decks that are either fairly new to me or haven't had much love that I really do want to get to know better in 2017. So the first two I'm going to show you are very new to me. This one is actually the most recent deck I've got. It's the Wisdom Keepers Oracle by Rosie Aronson. This deck, I've only had it for about a week, maybe 2. It arrived just before the new year. And it's just incredible. The guidebook is phenomenal. The depth and intention put into this deck is almost unparalleled. I got halfway through unboxing this deck and had to stop because I was crying. I was in tears. And that's just because I felt so seen, validated and loved by the people in this deck. It was just a really amazing experience and I'm so looking forward to really getting to know this deck this year. The next one is the Awakened Soul Oracle by our very own Ethony. This is such a beautiful deck and it's so good for the daily intention setting stuff that I just love to use Oracle decks for. I have every intention of doing a review, probably in February, because otherwise I've already got a video going up every day this month, and I am starting to feel like, you know, I'm familiar with this deck and I kind of know how I experience it. So expect a review in February. This is such a beautiful deck and the production is phenomenal too. Deck number 3 is another one that's pretty new to me. It arrived at the beginning of December. It's the Spirit de la Lune. And I've already been using this a lot. I've just been using it. I've been pulling out the actual relevant cards for each day, the moon card and then also the sign, and using those to help me kind of set my intentions at the beginning of the day. I kind of explained how I do that a little bit in my Starting Out Solitary video the other week, which I'll link below in case you're interested. So this I don't think is really a tool of divination for me. It's more about me checking in with the moon, and this is just a beautiful way to visually do that. So the next 2 decks are kind of decks that I've had for a while and I have worked with and I know that I love, but I just didn't work with as much as I wanted to. The first is the Oracle of the Dreamtime. This is an out of print deck, but it's not crazy expensive to get your hands on. These cards are gorgeous. They each have a keyword, or more like a title, I guess. And they've got this beautiful traditional Aboriginal artwork, and the guidebook is really substantial. I just haven't used this enough and I don't know why that is. Perhaps it's kind of similar to the Babylonian Tarot, I think, for me, in that I want to approach this deck with a lot of reverence and a lot of intention, and this past year I just haven't had the concentration that I've really kind of felt that I needed to get the most out of this deck. So I am starting to feel quite a bit better these past few months, so I'm hoping that will continue into 2017 and I will get to know this deck a whole lot better. The Flower Reading Cards by Cheryl and Darcy. I really do love this deck, and it holds a special place in my heart, but I tend to really only use it mostly with my mother. I bought her a copy. Oh sorry, I was supposed to be showing you the back. That's the back. I bought her a copy for Mother's Day this year, and she loved it. She cried a little bit when I got it for her. And every now and then when we're together, we'll just pull a few cards, and we have such a special time doing that. And I loved it so much with her that I went out and bought myself a copy. It's just that I haven't really used it so much for myself. But I think there'll be a lot of value in working with it on my own as well. So that is something that I want to try and do this year. The last 3 decks are all decks that kind of I never had any intention of getting. They all kind of came to me in unusual, different sort of ways, but I haven't traded them or gotten rid of them. So this year I really do want to make a conscious effort to get to know them. Whatever that ends up looking like, if they do end up moving on or if they end up being a favorite and they stay. I have no idea what potential relationship I have with these decks, but in 2017 I want to find out. The first is the Stargate Deck. I found this at a secondhand bookshop in Seddon, and I mean, I was just so excited I found an Oracle deck at all, but it's the Stargate deck. I know it has nothing to do with Stargate the show, but it's still my favourite show, and I don't know. Anyway, I picked it up because the guy gave it to me for like $8. And it's really interesting. The cards are big. There's actually kind of 2 sets of cards, and the other set is even bigger than this. They're really interesting, really different. There's a little guidebook. I'm not really sure what to expect, but I think I owe it some time and some effort. And it's fascinating. It's so different that I am intrigued. This is a deck I know a lot of people love. It's the Messenger cards by Sandra Kunz. This I got in a trade. I had a deck that just really wasn't working for me, and someone offered to trade this deck, and they were in Australia, so shipping was cheap, and I thought, why not give it a go? The only problem with that is that I haven't given it a go. I don't know why that is. I think that's also partly I just haven't been drawn to use Oracle decks as much as I have tarot this year, and I have my favourites that I'm comfortable with, and this is quite a bit different. And last but certainly not least is another deck that a lot of people adore, and that's Froud's Fairies Oracle. This deck I got in that big bulk haul that I had at the beginning of the year, where for a total bargain I managed to get basically the whole collection, most of the collection of a lady who's been collecting tarot and Oracle for years. And in that collection were a few decks that I very intentionally, specifically wanted to get, but I got a whole bunch of other stuff too. A lot of that stuff has since moved on, and I knew that that was something that would happen just because there were so many decks. And this one I haven't worked with, but I also haven't gotten rid of it. I think I'm just a bit intimidated, not specifically by the Fae. The Fae is something that I work with a lot, but I think I'm intimidated because I always hear people say that this is a really complex deck. You have to really work hard to get it. You know, you have to really read the book a lot. I don't know, like it just made it sound like a lot of work. And I think because I was having trouble reading this year, and because I was more drawn to working with the system of tarot, I just never felt like I was ready to dedicate the time and effort to the deck. But I'm kind of tired of that. I'm tired of that excuse where I have these decks that I really want to work with, but that I hold myself back from because I don't feel like I know enough yet. So this is the year that I really do want to break down that barrier of limiting myself, and of putting big unachievable goals in the way of working with certain decks. In day 10's video I spoke about working with Tarot of a Moon Garden and how that kind of really brought me back to basics of looking at the images and enjoying the process of getting to know those images. And so that is something that I think is really important for me, to stay out of my head, just my head. The head is important, of course, but to just not get caught up there. And I think this is one of those decks where I was really holding back because I was intellectualizing everything and trying to overthink the process. And I don't want to do that anymore because it's beautiful, and I love working with the Fae. The Fae are a very important part of my practice, and I think this will be a really interesting addition to that practice. So as I said, these aren't the only decks I plan on working with in 2017. These are just the ones that are kind of high up on my list to make sure that I put in the effort and take the time to work with. So that's all for day 12. Thank you so much for joining me again. If you have any comments or questions, please leave the links below, and I'll do my best to get back to you. And until tomorrow, much love. Bye.